Hey guys, Sarah Ansboury here, and today we're going to talk about progressioning in pickleball, starting with the dink. And we get the question a lot, how do you teach a dink? How do you teach so on and so on? So a big part of what we're talking about in when you have that new sport we're learning, hand-eye coordination is huge, but what we're really trying to do is get a progression of our movements, okay? Because what's tricky is I'm moving my paddle, my feet all at the same time. So I want to kind of start that out with a nice and easy motion. And very simply, this first stage with the progression is simply we're going to toss the ball back and forth. Today I've just got a pickleball, but I can use a low compression ball. I can use a weighted ball, anything like that. I love those types of things because you get to feel the weight of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be my player that I'm teaching how to dink, and we're going to start with essentially just the motions of it. So I'm going to start right here with my feet kind of slightly wider than my shoulders. Okay, I want to be loose. I want the ability to turn my hips. Okay, so now I've got my partner on the other side. She's going to toss me the ball. So I'm going to have two hands up, and I'm going to catch the ball. Now I'm going to work on separating my hands and tossing it back. So I want both hands included. I want to make sure shoulders are engaged, that I'm not just throwing the ball, that I'm actually extending and rotating. Okay. Now my next stage here is I'm going to add a step towards the ball. Okay. So now I'm going to have my partner toss me a ball kind of slightly to my forehand and then slightly to my backhand. But now when I'm going out, I'm going to practice turning my toes and stepping and tossing the ball back and then coming back from that position. Okay. So there I could take it in the air, or I can let it bounce depending on the ball that comes. Whoops, got a loss there. Okay. So, and this is where it's tricky sometimes with the pickleball because they do kind of bounce, but I do want to add those bounces into the drill as well. Okay, because I want to make sure that I'm getting my player to practice putting their hands in front, okay, so that they're letting the ball go low, but the head is staying high and we're pushing back. A couple more of those. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to do some on the backhand side. Now I'm catching with two hands again. Okay. Make sure we're moving to that. Okay, so the big thing I want here is this little rotation. So if I've got a player that's going to develop a two-hander, this is really good as well because I'm using my non-dominant hand. Okay, we want some of those to bounce. All right, so stage 2 of our dinking progression, okay, and remember dinking in the air or off the bounce, the same essential shot. The movements are the same, so we're just adding the paddle element, okay? So when I'm doing this, my contact, so I'll have my player first before we even add that ball. Again, practice the same motion we did without the ball, where we're kind of getting them to turn and step, just kind of get under the ball and turn and step the opposite direction. So I often like to do this as a mirror progression as well. I've got both students on the other side and kind of use it a warm-up where they're kind of moving with each other. So everything is kind of down there. Now we're going to add the ball. So very important in this, if it's off the bounce, then it's a little bit longer of a pushing motion, just like we did in the ball toss. Now if it's in the air as a dink, then it's a slower motion, very minimal. That's it, just kind of like a little bit of a bunt. There we go. So what I'm trying to get my player to do when they're learning this motion is get the hips and the shoulders to turn. Okay? I want to avoid this open body concept. I want them to get that weight transfer and stepping to the ball immediately. And we'll do some on the backhand side. So what we have a lot of players when they're learning these motions is they bounce around a lot, they jump around, so they're not turning and stepping. So what I'm really trying to progress into is we want the body to move, the toes to rotate, and we're getting that nice simple motion. So now my partner is going to add a paddle, and we're simply now going dink to dink. Okay, so that we're on our third stage. So as I'm in this progression, I'm only staying within what we did. I don't want to really stress them out about I've got to go chase the ball forward. We're just staying within this space from side to side. Okay, we're trying to minimize that motion as much as we possibly can, but huge factor, remember, when I'm tossing the ball, okay, my hand is like my paddle, okay? That's the same thing we're looking at when we're teaching a dinking motion, is I want the ability for my paddle face to kind of open up, whereas a lot of players, especially if they come from a racket sports background, they want to kind of curve that wrist up. Okay, what you'll see when players do this is they can't make contact in front of their body. So the ability to open up that wrist, and that's where the grip comes in, is super important to learning the dinking position.
I know finding good pickleball instruction locally isn't always easy. That's why we created the online version of my Pickleball Academy. As a member, you have access to a collection of courses, lessons, drills, workouts, tips, and more. It's like having access to me anytime you want. And the best part, for a limited time, you get to try it for free. Just head over to SarahAnsburyPickleballAcademy.com/free to try it out. I can't wait to see you on the inside.